right. Code.org, Unit 3, Lesson 4, Shapes and Randomization. So, this says, this lesson extends the drawing skills to include width and height and introduces the concept of random number generation. The class learns to draw with versions of ellipse and rect that include width and height parameters and use the background block to fill the screen with color. At the end of the progression, the class is introduced with the random number block and uses blocks to draw a randomized rainbow snake. So our vocab for today is parameter, an extra piece of information passed to a function to customize it for a specific need. So our parameters that we're going to pass in today are going to be the width and the height variable for our rectangle and our ellipse. And then we also pass in parameters for the random number generator as well as a specific color for the background. So it's just any additional information that we put in on the block that's not already there. Okay, so we can go ahead and press continue. So we're on lesson 4, level 2 here. I'm going to, every single lesson that we get to, I'm going to do this start over version history so that way we start fresh because I did this with the last class. So this one is rectangle size. It says these rect blocks have 2 more parameters that you can use to control the size. Notice that the no stroke block turns off the stroke border for the shapes. So there's no black border around any of these shapes. It says look at the code and try and figure out how the last 2 inputs in rect work. Change the numbers in the second rect to make the red rectangle longer than the blue one. So if we press run, we see this is what we get as our output. And if we look over here on the right, this is what we want our output to be instead. Okay. So, Anna, could I have you go up to the board here, this board here. Okay, and grab one of those markers and then in parentheses, so do the first parenthesis and then give yourself, so then write X, comma, Y, comma, width, W-I-D-T-H, and then comma, height, and then close your parenthesis. So those are the parameters that we pass in, and that's what each one is assigned. So if we look at our line 4 or our line 7 is the one that we're going to be dealing with. This 250 here, if we look up at the board again, this 250 is referring to the x coordinate that it's going to start at, so left or right, so 250 over. So this is where it's at, and then 100 down, okay, because we count from the top down with rectangles. So we're at 100 here. And then the width, if we look up at the board, we see that this 100 is the width and this 150 is the height. Okay, so if we want our red rectangle to be longer than our blue one, we need to change which variable here at the end, the width or the height? The height. So which variable, the third or the fourth one? The fourth. Okay, and we might as well just add 50 more than what the blue one is, so we're going to make it 250. Okay, so we should have on line 7, we should have rect 250, 100, 100, 250. Okay, and we run, and there we get it. Okay, would someone make sure that Kimberly is with us as well? How about we just, Kimberly, do you want to just pull up a chair next to Belle there by her table there, so that way her your computer is there? Okay, and then as soon as we get that one done, then we're just going to press finish. All right. Lesson 4, level 3 says, do this. Write the code that makes an orange ellipse behind the green one. Don't worry about the exact size as long as the green ellipse is entirely inside the orange one. So if we press run, we just get this green oval. Okay, and we need to make an orange one show up behind it. If I'm going to make an orange oval show up behind it, do I need to have that code before this green ellipse or after this green ellipse? Before, right? Because it needs to be drawn first, then the green one gets drawn on top of it. So I'm going to put in my fill, and I'm going to type in orange in that fill, and then I'm going to add in the ellipse one. Okay? If I run this just with the parameters that it set in for that ellipse, this is what I get. Okay, but I want to change change it so that it's more oblong and not a perfect circle. And so what parameter do I need to change? The width or the height? The width. So I need to change which number? The third one, okay? And let's change it to like 250 so that it's a little bit wider than the green circle, because if we look down at the green circle, that ellipse is 200 wide. So we're going to make this one 250. We press run, and there we have it. Okay, so that on that level, we added in this fill orange, we added in this ellipse, and we changed it to 200, 200, 250, 400. We press finish. Okay, on lesson 4, level 4 here. Okay, what we're going to do is it says background. Sometimes you fill the entire screen with color. For that, you can use background. It covers everything on the screen with the color you choose. It says do this. Run the code to see the background work. Change the background from yellow to orange. So we press run. We see the yellow is the background. So what line should I go to in order to change the background color to orange like it says it wants to? The third one. So I click on there where it says yellow, and I'm going to just type in orange on line 3. Okay. It says challenge. It says there is a purple square that is covered up by the background. Can you change the order of the code so that you see both the purple and the blue squares? So what would I need to do in order to see that purple square? What's covering it up? The background, right? So where should I move the background? To the first line. So I'm going to grab this background block, and I'm going to move it to the very top, and I'm going to press reset and run. There, it's changed my background to orange, and it's shown up that purple block because it was just covering it up because it was printing the background after it had already printed the purple block. So we can press finish there. So all we did was change background to orange and move it to line 1. Does anybody need me to slow down for a second, or are we good? Good? Okay. All right. This one, probably the quickest one. It says background will draw on top of everything already in your drawing, so it is important to think about the order of your code. It says do this. Use background to make a black background behind the green circle. How are we going to do that? Background on the first line and change it to black. And then we press run, and there is our black background behind our green circle. Yep, that's it. That's it for that one. All right, lesson 4, level 6. It says debug using 4 parameters. This program uses the 4-parameter version of rect and ellipse to draw a simple scene. Do this. Debug this program and correct the error so that the grass extends across the entire bottom. Hint, you only have to change one number. Which parameter makes your rectangle, the grass, wider? Okay, what line should I go to? What numbered line? 10. Yep. And if I'm going to change the grass so that it's wider in that rectangle, because right now this is what I have, what number, what line, or what number should I change? Okay, I should change 200, the third number in that rectangle block code. What should I change it to? 400, correct. So we go ahead and press reset and run, and there are grasses all the way across the screen. Okay, go ahead and press finish. All we did is change the rectangle, and on line 10, we changed the third number from 200 to 400. All right, lesson 4, level 7. It says debug using 4 parameters again. Now that the grass is working, let's add a cloud to the sky. Unfortunately, it looks a little funny right now. Okay, debug the program to make the cloud look wider than it is tall, like in the image. Hint, you'll need to change 2 parameters. Which one sets your cloud's width and height? So right now, this is what we get. Okay, so we need to change the cloud's width and height. What line should I be going to for that? 14, correct. So what 2 parameters should I change? the third and fourth one. Now they said that they want it to be wider than it is tall. So how about we just switch the width to 200 and the height to only 100, because before it was 100, 200. Let's just switch those around, because that would just take this and flip it on its side, right? Which is what it looks like in the picture. And there we have it. Okay. So we changed line 14. We changed the third number to 200 and the fourth number to 100. Okay. We can go ahead and press finish there. Anybody need me to pause while we're on this level? All right. I'm going to read this, so this would be an opportunity for you to get caught up if you're a little bit behind. Okay. When you first used the rectangle block, it always created a square with the sides of length 50. It had two inputs that you could use to specify its x and its y coordinates. Rect also has two optional parameters. These parameters are used to specify its width and its height. Okay. You can use the arrows on the right-hand side of the block to show or hide those optional parameters. So I'll show you where that little arrow is later on. Okay. Ellipse also has optional parameters for its width and height. After the x and y parameters, you can show or hide those options the same way as with the rect one, and that's with that arrow on the side. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and press continue. So we're on lesson 4, level 9. Okay. This is our random numbers. Okay. So lesson 4, level 9, random numbers. Random number chooses a random number between a minimum and a maximum value. So the minimum is the first number in there. The maximum value is the second. You can use this code instead of writing in the specific number. If you make your drawings with random numbers, it will look a little bit different every time you run your program. Okay, run the program several times to see how it works. So if we run our program a bunch of times, okay, we see how this works here. Okay, what do we notice about the ball? What's not happening? Because I'm running it multiple times. It just goes left to right, right? It doesn't go up and down. Why is that? Because I'm only randomizing the x coordinate, right? I'm only randomizing the x coordinate between 0 and 400. I'm not randomizing the y coordinate. The y coordinate is preset to 200. So it's only going to keep that y coordinate on this plane of 200, because that's what it's automatically set to every single time we run it, right? So it says change the numbers inside the random number and run the code again a few times to see what changes. If I were to change this to 0 to 50, okay, and I were to run it then, it would only change within that small space, right? Okay, if I changed it to 200, it would only go on the left side of the screen. It would only randomize there. Okay, and same thing if I made it 200 to 400, it would only randomize on the right side. Okay, so that's how the random number works. We're going to change that y coordinate in the next one, so if you're already ahead of that, wait until this level 10 and we will do it there. Okay, so go ahead and press finish on that one. We didn't actually do anything there that you were required to do. So this one here, lesson 4, level 10, we're going to now randomize that y coordinate so that it makes the ball randomly appear anywhere on our grid. So we're going to go to this math tab here. There's a drawing tab and a math tab now. So if we go to the math tab and we take this random number and we drag it out and hover it over the 200 and drop it in there, then we change the numbers between 0 and 400. Okay, our x is being randomized between 0 and 400, our y is being randomized between 0 and 400, and our width and height are each set to 50. So now if I run this, if I run this multiple times, okay, it's just going to randomly place the ball somewhere on our grid, because both the x and the y coordinate are being randomized between 0 and 400. Okay? So that's all we needed to do for that one. We dropped in that random number. We put 0 as the first parameter and 400 as the second one. Okay, again, if we wanted it to be more specific, we could make the x coordinate be 200, between 0 and 200, and the y coordinate be between 0 and 200. And it would only show up in this first quadrant here on the left. Okay, things like that. If you wanted a sun to randomly appear within the top, as long as it's in the top left, okay, you could put those parameters and you can set those minimums and maximums to whatever you'd like. Okay, go ahead and press finish. And then this next one is your assignment. Okay, so what this next one is we have this rainbow snake. We have the start of this rainbow snake. And in the challenge here, to preface this assignment, in this challenge here, it says, can you make the size of some of the circles random too? I don't particularly like that one just because if the size of the circle gets randomized, sometimes the circle detaches from the other circles and it just looks weird. So I'm not a huge fan of that, but if you want to do that, you are more than welcome to do that just for practice. You won't get any points docked off for it. I just don't like how it looks when it's outputted. So let's go through it here. This program draws a very rare breed of rainbow snake. To make the snake draw differently every time, you'll need to use random numbers. It says run the program several times to see how the starter code works. So everybody take a look up here at the board. And if I run this multiple times, it looks like the snake is kind of like slithering. Okay, the start of it is at least. Okay, because it's randomizing where those are going to show up, right? So what I need to do is I need to add in at least 3 more colors. If we look over on the right here, we've got green, blue, and then purple. Okay, we're going to add in those colors and we're going to set random values to the y coordinate. Well, set the ones that are already preset. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to put in a fill, and the next color in our rainbow is green. So we're going to drag in a green fill. Okay. And I'm going to do this first one, and then the next 2 you need to do. Okay. So if I look and I drag in, so I'm just going by what this says here. I've got this fill. It went red, orange, yellow. Now I'm on green. I drag in my ellipse. Okay. What do we notice between these 3? What is changing? What's it changing by? 40 every time. So what's 180 plus 40? 220. So I'm going to change that to 220, that first number in the ellipse, the x coordinate, to 220. Okay, that's going to place it a little bit past this ball here, just like it does in the other one. Okay, and then I'm going to drag in that random number for the y coordinate, and it looks like all of the other ones are placed at 190, 210. So I'm going to just copy that as well, and then the x and the y are, or the height, width and height are changed to 50-50. Whoops, not 20-20, 50-50. Okay, and if I reset and run, now I've got a green ball added to my snake. Okay, now for those of you that have potential and slight OCD, like Anna and myself, we talked about this yesterday. How do I get that white block to show up that is in there? Okay, if you go to show text, it'll give you the text version of all the blocks. And if you go to where you want one, you just press enter. So I want a space between these two, between ellipse and fill. I press enter, and then I go back to my show blocks. It puts in that space. Now, what doesn't work is if I go to my show text and I press enter after this ellipse line, but I don't have any code below it, okay, it won't work. There has to be code that you're spacing out. So I have to put in my next fill color, go to my show text, then make my spacing, go back to my blocks, and there it is. Okay, for this assignment on Google Classroom, okay, let's pull this up here. For this assignment on Google Classroom, there is a Dropbox. Okay, let's go to computer applications. Okay, I'm just going to show you the other classes for now. Okay, we've got, it'll be titled code.org CSD Unit 3 Lesson 4. The Rainbow Snake instructions are attached on here so that you can see. I will attach this JPEG onto your Dropbox as well. Okay, and what you're going to do is you're just going to get those next 3 colors in there, and then you're going to take a screenshot of it using your snipping tool of your code. If you need to take multiple screenshots so that you fit in all of your code, then you need to do that. So a reminder, a friendly reminder, class, is that if you need more space on your screen, you need to minimize your instructions up here at the top with this little arrow, and that will give you more space. Okay? So turn in for lesson 4, level 11, you need to turn in your Rainbow Snake screenshot using your snipping tool to the Dropbox titled code.org CSD Unit 3 Lesson 4. Okay?